We should just...
Unique New York.
Watermelon. Dobby, dobby.
Doobie 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 doo 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 doo.
Doobie dobby. Unique.
New York.
With that, hello and welcome to another episode of Adventures of a Ginger and a Blonde. We are calling this episode Have Blog Will Likely Live Happily Ever After.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe.
XOXO.
If we're lucky.
Marriage series.
The reason we are going with that title is because for the next few episodes of our podcast, we are kind of diving into relationships, our marriages,
Yes.
things like that, because we feel like that stuff ought to be an open book, because when people say it's perfect, they're full of shit.
That's accurate. 100%. And also, today we're going to focus on how we met our significant others.
Yeah.
Because anytime we really meet anyone, that's like our first question that we ask.
Well, we're nosy.
Well, yeah. I want to know the nitty gritty. How did you guys meet?
How did you get to where you are now? 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't make sense, sometimes it does, and I just want to know where that all started.
I agree. And so we're going to let you into our little love life and tell
only
you
fair.
exactly how we met. And we're not going to leave any parts out. I feel like a lot of people want to,
We considered censoring our stories, but then...
And then we thought, is that the style of the Ginger and the Blonde?
It's not.
We think's not.
Is that how we want you guys to see us, as people who censor ourselves?
No. So if you don't like realness, you can go ahead and exit now.
You should go listen to your favorite... I don't know. Just something else.
Listen to something different.
Something sweeter.
Yeah. All right. So
we're going to
Jesse,
dive
do you
in.
want to start? Do you want me to start?
I'll go for it. So, Tyler and I met at a bar called the Electric Cowboy.
So romantic.
It was.
That doesn't give you chills, folks. I don't know what will.
What a magical spot. So just to set the tone, to set the mood,
Yeah.
the Electric Cowboy was a bar that had a huge dance floor. They played sets that alternated between country two-stepping and rap music.
We have been there, correct?
Yes, you have been. You have. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see it in its prime, packed full of the assortment of people. But you did, you definitely went. And so it
It is a magical spot.
it's something. It is really something. You can still smoke in there.
Yes. Just really lay the scene down for our listeners.
It's classy. But we met on a night where I had just finished up a semester of my education program at UCA, and so all the girls in my program, we decided to go out and celebrate, and because we all love to dance, we showed up at the Electric Cowboy. Tyler was out with a group of, I think, Air Force friends, and they always said they showed up at the Electric Cowboy at the end of the night as a place where you might
meet a lovely lady. A lady of the night, if you will.
And so my friends and I we had just arrived, ready to get going. We decided to take a group picture because obviously we were celebrating the end of all of this studying. And Tyler and his group passed by, and somebody asked them if they'd take a picture for us, and Tyler was the one to hold the camera. So we all did our best cheesing, and Tyler threw out some line like how we were the most beautiful girls at the bar, which was complete bullshit. Truthfully, we were all very mediocre. I mean, we were.
I don't think that's true.
That's nice of you.
But Tyler is a charmer, so that makes sense.
He had a lot of lines, and all of my friends at the time thought it was very sweet, and they were like, "Oh,
We are, aren't we?
Except for me, who's always been a skeptic. So I said, "I think you're full of shit."
Fair.
And he says that was kind of like, it made him want to talk to me because I was not a very nice girl. He used a different name. But he said
Did he call you a bad bee?
Yeah, he did. He said that I wasn't very nice, and that was like kind of intriguing.
Yeah. Like a challenge.
Right. So
Guys love a challenge.
we spent the night kind of like chasing each other around a dance floor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Two-stepping.
And then we like to make fun of one another because I would put all the money on the fact that he pinned me in a corner and made out with me, and he says that I pinned him. But
I would say it's an even toss-up, in my opinion.
Either way, there was some swap and spit. Nice.
Romantic.
Germaphobe.
Yeah.
So anyway, then, from there, we went our separate ways. And the next morning, I had to show up at work. I was working at a grocery store called the Price Cutter. And I had an 8 a.m. shift.
Early shift.
An 8
That's
a.m.
when you were young and you knew you could like rally after a long night of dancing and swap and spit.
It really blows my mind now to think that I could show up without Drinkwell at an 8 o'clock shift.
No chance.
Yeah, no way. But I did, and I got a text from him that morning that said, "Hey, this is Tyler. Were you the blonde or the brunette?"
I'm just glad he didn't ask if you were the ginger.
And if you guys out there listening think,
what
how romantic,
charming young man.
how sweet is he?
You're not alone in that. He was.
And some of you might think, why'd you keep talking to him? But I'll tell you what, it won me over.
Yeah.
I immediately said, oh, I was the blonde. I didn't even skip a beat.
No questions asked.
Other people might be hesitant and think,
Not sure who the brunette was, but I bet she was a lovely lady.
It was my friend Kayla.
Oh, no.
There was no swapping of spit there. She was just my partner in crime for the night. We ran around and hung out together, and he just wasn't sure which one of us Jesse was.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
So, but
So
if I had cut him off after that, we wouldn't be here today.
Exactly.
So thank goodness I was a little bit desperate.
Maybe a little naive.
Yeah.
I don't
blind.
Love is blind, so they say.
Love is blind. So from there, we quickly became friends with benefits. And then we parted ways for almost a year.
Yeah.
And what's really magical about this story is that a complete year to the day that I met him in the Electric Cowboy, I ran into him again at the Electric Cowboy.
You guys,
if it's not
did they
fate,
get married at the Electric Cowboy? Because they should have.
Well, I tried to. Tyler said it wasn't appropriate, but
Okay,
I thought, but this place means a lot to us.
Will we bring our kids back to the Electric Cowboy one day?
God, I hope so.
I see it now.
A family reunion.
Little Jimmy. This is where we met.
Please don't let me name my kid Jim.
I promise you I will not.
If your name is Jimmy, it's fine. I just personally can't go that route.
That's not for you guys.
No. But so it worked out magically for us.
It did. It really did.
And I feel like it's a special start that not a lot of people have.
And honestly, would you recommend Friends with Benefits for everyone? No. However,
100% not.
No, you probably shouldn't. Respect yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, wait
Enough
longer
to
than a
not.
week, kids.
Yeah. That's good advice, though, for real. And it usually doesn't work out, but I think you guys have a really cool story that
I'm
did.
lucky that it did. I don't think my story is typical.
Yeah, but you
Here
lured
we
him
are,
in. I know.
chugging
How many
along.
years later?
7.
I think for your 10th, we should definitely have a party at the Electric Cowboy.
Oh, that only makes sense.
So Electric
you guys
Cowboy,
are all invited.
If you're listening,
We're coming for you.
sponsor us. 10-year Annie.
Wet t-shirt contest.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But that's also a thing
I
they
won't.
have every Wednesday night.
Oh, perfect.
Not a big deal.
Well, I would not win that. I'll tell you that right now. They would just be like, sir, you actually aren't required to wear a shirt.
I never want to laugh when she says things like
but
that.
it's true. Itty bitty titty committee.
Well,
No
you know
shame.
what? As long as they're perky.
Yeah. And I have a husband who loves me. So speaking of,
Tell us.
so we met, oh gosh. Okay. This is I'm going to make a very long story short.
You went international.
Yes, we actually met in Canada. However, we went to the same college. We went to a very small conservative college. Ed, our last name is Honacki, but it looks like it is Hojnacki. which
it's a very confusing spelling.
it is. So we didn't have a super diverse college when I was there.
It's a good way to put it.
There was maybe one Asian kid that went there, and I thought it was Ed Hojnacki, if I'm being 100% honest. I'd seen him around, and I'd heard the name, but I thought he was this little Asian kid who ended up...
What was the Asian kid's name?
His name was Jake White.
Isn't that coincidental?
Yes. So anyway, Canada, we all used to go there for New Year's because the drinking age in Canada is 18.
Perfect.
And we were all not 21 yet, and it was right across the border because I'm from Michigan. And so
that's a good thing to note, because
yes.
we could have thought you were driving like 20 hours to Canada.
It was an hour and a half drive
over
a bridge.
Perfect sense.
We had all got tickets. Me and my girlfriends got tickets to this place called the Boom Boom Room. It was apparently all the rage.
Speak love. I don't know what it is.
And so I had seen Ed, aka Jake
White,
aka Ed, around school because we went to a very small school. And we were at the Boom Boom Room, and I guess him and a group of his friends were also at the Boom Boom Room. And I kid you not, it was like a movie. It was like 10, 9, the countdown for New Year's
magical.
Eve. And I looked over and I saw this guy that
Jake
I had seen, Jake White, a few times before, like at parties, and we started walking towards each other. It was like the room stopped and we were just...
Oh my God.
Him and I locked eyes and the countdown was going and he just like grabbed my face and we started kissing.
This is a romantic comedy.
It felt like it.
What was the funny part though? Because this just sounds magical.
Which part?
Was it after or?
All of it was funny. Because then we, I don't know, came to and I realized, oh my gosh, we know each other a little bit. But my friend was in a sober up room of the club, and then we ended up having to go with her. And
the club had a sober up room.
They did, yes. This is such a confusing story. But so I didn't really know where our hotel was, if I'm being honest, because I was 18 and wild, young, and free, and it was my first time maybe like away from home for New Year's Eve. So I think I partied a little too hard that time.
Or you partied enough.
Yeah. Well, luckily I had met Ed that night, and he knew where our hotel was. So he actually...
Was he staying there?
I have no idea. He did that night. Sounds a little dirtier than it was intended.
Just wait for it, people. Wait
for
it.
Ed and his friend got me and my friend back to our hotel safely, and then we had like one queen bed among the four of us, and my friend and the other guy like passed out very quickly, and Ed essentially just tickled me to sleep. Literally. I know it sounds like, oh gosh, that sounds
What
dirty.
does she mean? But
he
really,
literally tucked me in and tickled me. And if it still works to this day to tickle me to sleep, it's gonna work every time. But so then it was kind of like the next morning I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know who this young man is.
Is this Jake White?
Jake, the whole time. And he's like, my name's Ed. I was like, your name is Ed?
No.
I don't
the
even
Asian
know
fellow's
you.
name is Ed
Yeah.
Hojnacki.
Nope. Ed Honacki. Very Polish, very Caucasian man in Canada. And so we actually didn't speak for a full year after that night because truthfully I was really embarrassed because I didn't ever get like that.
We all need time.
So I was like, oh man. And then we ran into each other at school a few more times. He dated a couple of my friends.
And here we are.
And then we eventually made our way back to each other. And so we count our relationship starting on the night of the Boom Boom Room.
Well, that only makes sense because that means that's a very historically significant part of your relationship.
I mean, we met overseas, essentially.
Wow.
International. Yeah, I know.
That's
so
crazy.
romantic.
That is so romantic.
Yeah.
It's dreamy.
It really is. I don't think producers could write a more beautiful script.
I don't think they could.
And then he tickled her to sleep. That's when I knew he was a good dude, though, you know?
That he didn't take advantage?
He took me and my
100%.
friend. And my friend was worse
off than you.
Oh, goodness, yes.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, stand up young man.
His mom should be proud.
Kelly, you should be. Raised a good young man. Little Ed Hojanecki.
Oh my gosh. But that's why I think it's so interesting to hear people's stories, because you hear stuff like that, and I feel like when you maybe meet a couple, you can't really like wrap your mind around like how would they meet, and then you hear that story.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't have thought that when I met you and Ed. I would have made up something very bland.
Yeah.
It's not bland at all.
No. Like, oh, they met at church camp. No, we did not. It was
The
called the Boom Boom Room. Which, I mean, and you guys met at the Electric Cowboy.
I just think people's stories say a lot about, like what their relationships got going on.
But I also think it's kind of fun to see the progression. Like, had we known then what we know now, like, I would have never expected it to work truly for either one of us.
Well, and really a good question. I think it's funny because knowing my own story now and hearing other people's, when I was growing up, my parents had like a solid story they told us about how they met.
Was it a lie?
And it was very like PG and very sweet. And the older I've gotten, the more I learned about the story, and the details have changed somewhat.
Loose lips.
And I think it's not exactly what I was told the whole time I was growing up. Yep. So I think one day, do I tell my children we met at the Electric Cowboy? And I think probably what I'll tell them is like,
your father courted me for 6 years.
He was such a gentleman, and your mom was a real
He knew
classy
exactly
lady.
who I was. He called me the blonde bombshell.
And he was kind and thoughtful.
Never once made me feel any kind of way.
Other than happy.
Okay, people. This is marriage. This is real.
So we thought we ought to just start the series off with how we met. Because from here, what we want to do is kind of just be real about...
Yeah, build on the relationship from the beginning point until now.
Coincidentally, we both have been married 7 years. We got married roughly 3 or 4 months apart. I got married March 31st, and you were married
June 30th.
So of the same year, 2012. So
Yes.
it's neat that we've been married almost the same amount of time, just a few months apart. And so the progression and things you learn the longer you're married.
Yes.
So we just want to talk about it and be real, because we've always appreciated people who were honest about their marriages and didn't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I feel like the world is hard enough that you don't need like BS when it comes to people's relationships. We're going to be very real with you.
We were in a small group once. Do you remember this? Where we had a couple that told us they'd been married probably 3 or 4 years at that time, and they told us they had never had a fight.
And I was like, well, one of you is submitting a little too hard to the other
Well,
then.
and I want to throat punch you both, truthfully.
Yeah. I mean,
because that's not honest.
No.
And we're all here to like really work on some stuff.
It's a Christmas miracle that all of us are still alive.
Well, it's also taken the support of our friends.
Yeah. And that's kind of what this is all about. So even if you're like not married, if you're just dating or engaged, I think you can get some stuff from
100%.
the advice we'll give you, or I don't know
if I would even call it advice so much as this
life
is what we've
lessons.
been through, and this is what we learned.
Yeah.
And so maybe take from it what you will.
Yeah. With a grain of salt. We're all figuring it out still.
Yeah. If you ever met anyone at a place called the Electric Cowboy, then...
Or the Boom Boom Room. Not to say it can't work out.
There's a lot of growth that can be had.
Gosh. What a beautiful, beautiful lesson.
It is.
That's today's lesson.
Truly. So...
You can meet someone anywhere. Just keep your eyes open in your heart. But also don't be naive and easy.
Let someone drag you along. So there you have it.
Yeah.
That is our episode today. Have blog will likely live happily ever after.
Fingers crossed.
See you next week.
Bye.